the topic of this video is gonna be so like important to just talk to think about. If you think, yeah, this is like such an important video, like the Abrahamic God is jealous of who really does relate to like theology, certainly the like Christianity and Islam and Judaism. And if you know a thing or two about the Abrahamic faith, you should know at least a little bit about the fact that the Abrahamic God is very much like very jealous. Like you cannot associate partners with the Abrahamic deity.
Big Sonic! Look at what I found, Big Sonic. 2 plates here, 2 crystal clear, like sort of like discs or plates. I can have one, Big Sonic, and you can have one. I can have one, Big Sonic, and you get one. Alright, Small Sonic, here we are. Here I am. Wait a minute. Big Sonic, your one looks just like my one. That's not really cool, is it? I don't want you to have the same thing as I have. I want to be unique and special, Big Sonic. Oh, come on, Small Sonic. It's just a random crystal disc thingy, whatever it might be. Why do you care if it's the same as my one, as your one, as my one, as whatever? Because Small Sonic, I'm jealous and I don't want other people to have the same things as I have. Or did I say Small Sonic? I'm Big Sonic. I mean, you're Big Sonic, I'm Small Sonic. I don't want other people to have the same things as I do. Oh, come on, Small Sonic, it's just like random nonsense.
It's very stressfully mentioned in regards to like Islam. Shirk, the association of partners with Allah, is very much horrendous. It's like a horrendous crime. In Christianity and Judaism, obviously, thou shalt have no other gods before me. This is like it's almost like it's like the foundation of the Abrahamic faiths, and that God is solely one. There is no one else besides God. He is good. He made everything. He is the only one worthy of respect and admiration. And I actually do believe in this as well to some extent. But the issue is that the Abrahamic God is jealous of who? This has always been like bewildering to me if you think about it. That if God is truly one, why would he be so like concerned about like people associating him with like false deities? Or some like people like Muslims, Christians, Jews, they'll say, well, because it's like quite an insult to be like falsely for someone to believe in something that isn't true. Like there's like you're praying to like the wrong deity. I'd made everything. Why are you like praying to this wrong deity? Fair enough, but it's still like eternal. Like this is like so serious as well, especially in Islam. Like shirk, like if you associate partners with the Abrahamic deity Allah, you can potentially be burning in hellfire for eternity. And this is like, so that's like a massive, like that is like quite a strong like form of like jealousy and like envy and hatred. The Abrahamic deity does not want to be like doesn't want to be like he wants to like be completely like admired and worshipped as the one true creator. And I was like, I don't know, like, why am I even making this video? Because I came across like some type of very interesting quotation by the Freemasons, Albert Pike. If you know a thing or two about Freemasonry, you should know a little thing or two about someone called Albert Pike. And he was like whatever, I don't want to get too much into him, but in a nutshell, he's like a very high-ranking person, very revered.
Big Sonic, these crystal discs, they look too identical. I don't want you to have the same one as I have. Small Sonic, they're just random discs. Who cares if they look the same and if we both own the same thing, basically? But Big Sonic, I want to be special and unique. I don't want other people to have what I have. That's not fair, is it? Small Sonic, these are just random like things on the floor, random see-through crystal like disc thingies that I don't really know what they are, but who cares if they're the same? Who cares if we own the same thing and associate the same thing? Doesn't matter. Big Sonic, I'm kind of jealous. I don't like other people having the same things that I have. Well, Small Sonic, that's a bit absurd. Why? What does it matter if we both have the same thing? If I have this crystal disc and you have that other one, we can both go our separate ways. Why is it a big deal?
In Freemasonry, and he wrote a book called Morals and Dogma, and it's quite a fascinating read, and I recommend you read it. And supposedly even though this might be a hoax, there's no like official like documentation on this. Perhaps it might be a hoax, but there's like this sort of like quotation by Albert Pike, and it's so interesting. You should see it, something about it on the screen. That in this quote is almost alleged, even though it could be, all of this could be false, because it was made by that French guy, Leo Taxel, he was probably a fraud. But this quotation, it kind of, even though it might be fraudulent, it's so fascinating. A lot of Freemasons might deny it, but still, it really got my noggin, because I think if it's true, and this is what the Freemasons believe, I mean, fair enough, but a lot of them might deny it, but here it is on the screen, you should see it. That which we must say to the crowd is, we worship a God, but it is the God one adores without superstition. To you, Sovereign Grand Inspector General, we say this, and you may repeat it to the brethren of the 32nd, 31st, and 30th degrees. The Masonic religion should be by all of us initiates of the high degrees maintained in the purity of the Luciferian doctrine. If Lucifer were not God, would Adonai, the God of the Christians, whose deeds prove cruelty, perfidy, hatred of man, barbarism, and repulsion for science, would Adonai and his priests culminate him? Yes, Lucifer is God, and unfortunately, Adonai is also God. For the eternal law is that there is no light without shade, no beauty without ugliness, no white without black. For the Absolute can only exist as two gods, darkness being necessary for light to serve as its foil, as the pedestal is necessary to the statue and the brake to the locomotive. Thus, the doctrine of Satanism is heresy, and the true and pure philosophical religion is the belief in Lucifer, the equal of Adonai or Allah. Or
I don't know, Big Sonic, but I think it's just not really that fun. If you have what I have and I have what you have, it becomes a bit boring. I want to be more unique and special. I should be the only one that has one disc and you shouldn't have anything. Well, Small Sonic, that's quite absurd. Like, surely you can have one and I can have one and we can take it back home, and there's no need to be this jealous and hateful. But Big Sonic, I want to be unique and special, Big Sonic. Small Sonic, they're just see-through discs. What the hell is the big deal? If they're the same, if we have the same thing. Big Sonic, I don't want other people to have what I have. I like being unique and special. We're all special, Small Sonic. It's not a big deal. I get this if we both own the same thing. I don't know, Big Sonic. I just feel like I want to be more unique and special. I don't want other people to associate themselves with me. I want to have this one unique item, and I don't want anyone else to have it. Come on, Small Sonic, you're just
the Abrahamic deity. But Lucifer, God of light and God of good, is struggling for humanity against Adonai, the God of darkness and evil. That is such a fascinating quote, and it gives you a lot of like insights into like but it's kind of a little bit dubious because this was like quoted. This comes from AC, recorded by AC de la Rive Lema, some French words that I can't even pronounce, by Edward Decker. Very, very interesting like quotation. Supposedly there was like some sort of Freemasonic meeting held and someone kind of like captured this bit of information, and supposedly the Freemasons believe in like two deities. The Abrahamic deity, which is the deity that most of us follow, but the Freemasons, they believe in like the fact that there's actually a duality. There's two gods controlling the world, and the Abrahamic God is actually evil, and there's like another god called Lucifer, and that is the benevolent deity that we should all be worshipping and stuff like that. But it's kind of, this is so interesting because the Abrahamic God is jealous of who? And it always bewildered me that, okay, fair enough, that if there is no other gods but Allah or whatever, like in Islam, la ilah, I don't want to say the Shahada, is kind of a bit awkward, but you know, you should see it on the screen. There is no God but God. Only Allah is God, one God. That monotheism is quite interesting. And this quotation by the Freemasons, actually, no, there's not just one God. There's like a duality, which goes back to Zoroastrianism in some ways, but to me it's quite fascinating, actually. The Abrahamic God is jealous of who? If you look through the Bible, the Quran, the Tanakh, any type of like, all of like the Bible basically in the Quran, it's very much strongly emphasized that God, you cannot associate partners with God. There's only one God worthy of worship. He created this everything around you, this world, which is very, very flawed in so many different types of ways. Like, you know, like there's a lot of like children being born with disabilities, and the predatory food chain where life feeds upon life. And animals get mauled to death in the wild, and it's like this like endless like.
Small Sonic, you're kind of turning into sort of like a piece of shit. Surely, Small Sonic, it's not a big deal if we both own the same thing. What's the matter? You have your one, I have my one. Big Sonic, but I want to be unique and special, Big Sonic. Small Sonic, well, ain't a big deal if we own the same thing. I have this one, you have that one, but they look the same, Big Sonic. Well, small Sonic, it's not really a big deal now, is it? Did I say big Sonic? I'm big Sonic. Small Sonic, it's not a big deal. Big Sonic, yes it is big Sonic. It's a big fat deal. I just don't like other people copying my style, my swagger. Well, small Sonic, that's kind of very selfish indeed. You don't have to be this like psychopathic and selfish and vindictive. Other people, they might be inspired by your style, but you don't need to be hateful towards them and like kind of like sort of like this like weird like selfishness that you don't want other people to be like you. That's this
cycle of like suffering and misery. And of course, maybe Adonai, did he make all of this, the Abrahamic deity Allah? He created all of this stuff around us, like this like world that's filled with like a lot of hate, like pain and suffering. And the Freemasons, it makes quite a lot of sense that the God of this world would kind of probably most likely be evil. And if you look at Islam, Islamic theology, eternal hellfire, would a loving God be torturing people for all eternity? Maybe, I was actually so curious about this, maybe this like quotation, it might not be official, it might just be a big fat hoax, but it's so interesting to read, to look at it and to think about it, to like kind of meditate on this like quotation, that there might be two gods that control everything, and that the God of this world is actually malevolent and evil. That's why there's all these like messed up things, like kids being born with cancer, whatever you want to call it, and hell. And actually, when I was like a lot younger, I was like thinking about the fact that like, why is like hellfire? Why would God torture people for eternity in hellfire? Would a good loving God be torturing people for eternity in hellfire? Is quite a difficult thing to like tackle and to think about. Like the eternal damnation, that is like so evil. And the Freemasons, they believe Adonai. Maybe they might not believe this. Maybe that quotation that I showed you is just a hoax. But based off of that, I think so that the Freemasons, they might believe that the Abrahamic deity is actually evil, and there's like a gooder God that's beyond everything that we can see. They call it Lucifer or whatever. It's quite so interesting, because if the Abrahamic God is jealous of who would like the Abrahamic God be jealous of? Maybe like there isn't just like one deity that made everything. Maybe there's, again, it goes back to Zoroastrianism, there's like a duality. But all of this is so speculative, and obviously there's no like good solid proof for any sort of like supernatural being at all anyway. But it's so important that you think about this so carefully. The Abrahamic God is jealous of who? The one true God, creator of everything, this world and all that. But if you look at this world, there's quite a lot of suffering and pain and misery, so as well, and eternal hellfire.
Where was I, small Sonic? I mean, people might like your style. They might want to associate with you and copy your moves and whatever, and your style of dress. It's not a big deal, small Sonic. It just shows that other people like what you like, and that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. But big Sonic, I don't like other people trying to steal my style, my swagger, trying to associate with who I am. I want to be unique and special. I should only be the one that has these sorts of things. Well, small Sonic, that is quite, I guess, very deranged and psychopathic. It's not a big deal, small Sonic, if I have this and you have that. I don't know, big Sonic, I want to be more unique and special. I don't want other people to associate themselves with me and my style and my swagger and what I have and what I own. But small Sonic, it's not a big deal. It's if we have like these weird crystal disc thingies. I can have one, you can have one, ain't a big deal, small Sonic. Big Sonic, I don't want other people to have what I have. I want to be unique and special, big Sonic. A small Sonic.
People getting tortured for eternity, does that make sense? That's why the Freemasons, they might actually be correct about this, that there's two gods, not just one. There's the God that made all of this, and there's something more higher up that's more divine and pristine. And the Freemasons, they call it Lucifer, maybe perhaps, or maybe they don't, maybe, I don't know what the Freemasons are about. The Freemasons are like an enigma that can't be cracked so easily, you know what I mean? But the Abrahamic God is jealous of who? Doesn't this like make you wonder so carefully? If like truly, if Adonai, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if there was only one God, why like worry about like being like other people, like like human beings worshipping whatever? If you're like truly the one true God, why care about like being other people worshipping other deities? Unless there's something that you're hiding and covering up. And it maybe this does like kind of link heavily to Freemasonry, maybe not Freemasonry, but maybe to the supposed quote. Was it by Albert Pike? Yeah, it was General Albert Pike. Maybe it links to this. Oh, this is so like mind-blowing. Just this whole video is so hard for me to articulate in a way that's like understandable, because there's just all these sort of like nuances. But that monotheism, that Tawheed, one God worthy of worship, is quite, if it's true, why like it seems like it's so almost comical. Like it's almost like there's something that's being like concealed from us, and the Abrahamic deity isn't like what we think he is or it is, and there's something else going on. Think about this so carefully. This video is like fucking god damn.
You know what, Big Sonic, you're right. It really isn't a big deal that we both have the same identical object with us and in our possession. It's not a big deal that if other people try and associate with me and my swagger, it ain't a big deal. If other people kind of like take after me and like look towards me as an inspiration, ain't a big deal. Exactly, Small Sonic, it's not a big deal at all. You're right. Did I say Small Sonic? You're Small Sonic, I'm Big Sonic. Big Sonic, you're right. It's not a big deal. You take your weird disc thingy back with you, now I have my one. And you're right, I was just being kind of selfish and psychopathic and vindictive and kind of clearly a bit arrogant and trying to say that other people shouldn't associate themselves with me and what I have and what I own. That was kind of like very stupid of me. Indeed it was, Small Sonic. Doesn't matter if other people try and associate with you, you're always unique anyway. Shouldn't be this psychopathic and vindictive. You're right, Big Sonic, you take yours and I take my weird disc